The new relationship. Hi, I am 36 years old, married to my high school sweetheart for 18 years. We have always been the best of friends and have a great amount of love and respect for each other. Things have been hard. I have a long-term autoimmune disease and we have not been able to have children, which we very much wanted. I have suffered multiple miscarriages and we have exhausted all of our resources on fertility treatments, leaving us childless and without any other options at this point. We had a dog who we loved as a child for 16 years, but more on that later. My husband is a workaholic and owns his own business. I do work but have a lot of free time. I've always been prone to boredom and depression and I am incredibly shy. I was spending a lot of time on Facebook and joined a lot of groups and had fun chatting with new people about our common interests. One of the people I started chatting with really did something to me. We left Facebook to start on Google Chat, then Skype, and before I knew it, I was in the midst of an emotional affair. He was also married and has kids. I wasn't aware of this immediately. He told me he was divorced. He was pretty shady about many things, and I had a bad gut feeling about him. But he also talked to me in ways my husband never really had. He constantly complimented me and called me pet names. He seemed almost obsessed with me in a physical way. My husband and I have always had a great physical life, but this other man excited me and really made me feel desirable while I was pretty lonely. I just assumed we'd be chat and flirt buddies and that would be it. Then my beloved dog passed away and I lost it. My husband started working even more, saying that being home was too hard, and I was literally on the brink of a major meltdown. Right then the other man asked me to meet him in real life. I don't exactly know what happened, but I agreed to it. I bought a plane ticket and lied to my husband saying that I needed a break with a girlfriend. I even went as far as having my husband drive me to the airport. I agreed to meet a stranger for a good time, basically. We spent 5 days together and I am still processing what happened. I wanted intimacy and friendship and an escape from reality. And what I got was being degraded and used by someone I didn't even know. He physically assaulted me and it has seriously messed with my mind. It became clear that he was only in it for a good time. He didn't really want a friendship after. I tried to continue our chatting, but he became a totally different person. Went from nightly chats lasting up to 4 hours to him telling me I was selfish and crazy for trying to stay in contact after. He actually became pretty mean to me, so of course this confused me. Then I stumbled upon him on several dating and hookup sites, all stating that he was a widower looking for love when the truth is, he is married and living in a different part of the country than he claimed. I've been putting the pieces together and realized that most of our chats were done probably while he was in bed with his wife, which kills me. I cannot accept that someone who told me how much he cared about me and promised to never hurt me could sleep with me, then turn around and almost overnight act like I was nothing. Is this just how things are in the real world? It pretty much broke my heart and I feel such a range of emotions regarding him. Then there's my husband. He is nearly perfect. He is a workaholic, but I am 100% confident that he adores me and he has proven time and again that his love for me is unconditional. He is my best friend and I told him everything. He was angry for a minute, then immediately hugged me and told me he was sorry that I was in such a bad place. That's for him. He never brings it up, doesn't want to discuss it. He says I have been a great wife for 18 years, so a few months doesn't change his love for me. I am in therapy and we are trying to work things out, but I am stuck. I need help. I am hung up on the other man. I can't get over the fact that he used me. It doesn't help that I get an email from him every so often. They are never really nice or anything, usually just a few sentences asking how I'm doing. I respond and usually don't hear back from him, so I have to wonder what his mo is for even writing in the first place. I do feel that he almost hypnotized me. I think I became addicted to the way he made me feel, and he certainly had me thinking it was okay to behave in a way I never thought I would. I spend a great deal of time looking at his dating profiles, and I'm not even quite sure why. I love my husband so much. I am in awe that he would even want to work things out with me. But I feel nothing romantic towards him right now. I feel ashamed that I hurt him. I respect him so much and wonder what's wrong with me that I wake up thinking about the other guy. Shouldn't I be thinking of my husband? I don't love the other man. I realize that I am mourning the loss of someone I thought was a friend and turned out to be a creep, so why can't I get him out of my head? What is this control he has? And how do I fall back in love with my sweet husband? He deserves better. Please don't flame me. I have literally contemplated X over this. I don't want to hurt my husband anymore. I don't want to think about the other guy at all again. I am lost and I don't know what to do. For those who have betrayed their spouses, is it normal to feel like this? Is it something we can overcome? I just feel dirty and embarrassed and unworthy of the amazing man I married. Will it always feel like this? And can I ever get over knowing how I jeopardized an 18-year marriage for someone who didn't even really like me and used me in a very intimate and horrible way? Do you think telling his wife would give me any closure, or would it just add to my problems? I am in therapy twice a week trying to figure out why I did what I did. And the last contact I had with the other man was me telling him not to contact me again. I have asked my husband many times to go to counseling, but he will not. So, all I can do is work on myself and hope he comes around eventually. We are quite a mess right now. We both were tested for STDs. I have an 18-year marriage that I do not want to give up on. I have been a faithful, loving wife for all 18 years and had 4 months where I literally feel I had an emotional breakdown. I want to make it work. My husband wants to make it work. I just need a bit of help. My email, I didn't delete because I realized he wasn't interested in any future, so it didn't seem necessary. I was struggling in the beginning with wanting to know why, but I am not interested in any future contact with him now and have told him so. I think the contact has ended, still I can't get him out of my mind. Not in a tender way, more of a what on earth was wrong with me way. I accept responsibility for my behavior, but I also absolutely believe this man preyed on me and sought me out as someone to try to destroy. And yes, he physically assaulted me. He used me for what I could only assume was some sick fantasy that he'd never act out with his wife. I literally went home bloodied and bruised. Like I said, this is not my normal behavior. I almost didn't recognize myself at the time. I am trying to move on, but don't know if we are too broken. I have felt like he violated me for sure, but I never told him no, so I took responsibility for that. It was quite brutal and not enjoyable in any sense for me, which is the reason I need to figure out why I did this, and why I stayed with him for 5 days and allowed it to continue. He was not violent while we were not sleeping together, but I have had a very hard time getting the physical stuff out of my mind. It haunts me. His wife does not know, and I have flip-flopped with the idea of telling her. I don't know her. On one hand, I don't want to hurt her and wonder if I just need to fix myself, but on the other hand, I don't want anyone else to be hurt, and he needs to stop doing what he's doing. I am a bit afraid of him. He has shown himself to be angry, and he is somewhat in the public eye, at least in his community. I don't know that anyone would believe me. This is all very fresh, so I am at the beginning, but I do know I need help. And I want desperately to make it work with my husband, but there is such a wedge between us right now, and he does not want to speak of any of it again. I am very remorseful. I have done something that I did not think I was capable of and hurt the best person I know. I am in individual counseling and want to do marriage counseling, but according to my husband, he's forgiven me and just wants to bury and move on. He knows this is not my character. Still, I worry that it will come back down the road. First, I do know how to contact his wife. I have seen her on Facebook and she has a public blog. Do you think I should? Second, this man is a physician and upstanding member of his community. I don't know that I'd be believed. I am a teacher and my husband is a lawyer. We also have a reputation to protect. As far as exploring my darker side, I originally thought maybe, but this all went well beyond my comfort zone. It was terrifying and I didn't get any pleasure out of it, which adds to my confusion with being hung up on him. He was mean to me and I knew neither of us wanted a future. Still, I guess I just wanted to think we were friends and I didn't risk my marriage and my life over a man who didn't even like me. That's too much to bear. But I know he used me. My husband is beside himself that this man violated me and just wants to move on. I'm still processing how I let myself get into this position, how I offered myself to be used and abused and think it was okay. Oh, and I'd only ever slept with my husband before this, so part of me wondered if this is normal even though I know it's not. It's not a good feeling to know you've been scammed. I clearly have a lot to sort through. My husband is aware of the physical abuse but not the extent of it. When I came back home, I had bruises around my neck and immediately burst into tears upon looking at my husband. I am very transparent with him. He is my best friend and I don't keep things from him. This is so out of my character that he knows I was not thinking straight, and I think that's why he's been so sympathetic. So, you are suggesting I contact the wife with my husband's blessing? I asked him about it and he was against it. But again, he is burying all of this. My gut tells me that I should tell her, and that may help to bring closure to all of this. Plus, I would want to know. But I also don't want to think of any possible retaliation. This is such a roller coaster and I am not taking it lightly. I am full of shame and remorse for what I have done and willing to do everything I can to make my marriage work. We made vows to stay with each other in sickness and in health, and for better or worse, I have fully committed myself to this man for 18 years. I made a monumental mistake. I accept it and am trying to work it out. I'm not passionate at all for the OM. I am struggling to understand why I'm not able to move past him or forgive myself. I was just hoping to find someone to give me some advice on how to forgive and start falling in love with my spouse again. I am grateful to those who have given me advice without judgment. And he is not indifferent to me, but whatever. He has been very affectionate and attentive since this happened. I love him more than anything and he feels the same. I am seriously looking to rectify this and need any help I can get. I have been on the other side of this. I know I betrayed him and it will be a long time to recover from, if ever. He was angry for a very brief time, but he knows my heart and knows that I had something of an emotional breakdown when this happened. He loves me unconditionally and said I am worth forgiving. This is exactly how I felt when he had an indiscretion years ago. This is terrible but does not define us or our love. And I'm not in contact with the OM. I was for a bit but I'm not now. I'm just struggling with letting go of it because the bottom line is, he abused me and manipulated my mind. This is not an excuse, this is the reality of what happened. I am living proof that someone can get into your mind if you let them and cause you to do things you'd have never thought were possible. I was contemplating X when I met this man. I honestly felt that my husband and everyone else would be better off without me. So, I decided that I cared about nothing and agreed to meet him. No, we didn't have dinner, didn't go to shows, didn't do anything fun. He did mistreat me and made me stay in the room like a bee while he went to work things. I was scared and uncomfortable but also very confused, so I stayed. This is very messed up but is the truth. This was the final straw in months of self-destruction for me. And I am not chatting with the OM now. I'm trying to make sense of what happened now that the fog has lifted and I am seeing what I've done. I really am trying to gain as much perspective as I can. I really want to make my marriage work. I have a lot of info on him but I'm a little afraid of him still. I didn't know if telling his wife was the right thing to do or is adding fuel to a fire that just needs to be put out. I know I made a mistake and had terrible judgment, but also this man preyed on me and violated me and had some kind of mind control over me. This is why I'm obsessing, not because I have feelings for him, not because I want him again, but because he has twisted my thoughts and made me feel crazy. And that I deserve to be mistreated in a horrible way. This is hard to digest and hard to move on. My husband says I need to forgive myself and allow us to survive as a couple. I don't know how to do this when thoughts of the OM still haunt me. Hence, the therapy. Hopefully I will get there. In the immediate time following meeting I was still wanting contact with the OM. I am NC now, and seeing things clearly each day. I struggled with how I could betray my spouse with such a bad man. But he did get into my mind and manipulated my emotions. I am in intense therapy, and my counselor said this man used classic brainwashing techniques on me alone with NLP and had a great deal of power over me. I accept responsibility for my part, but I was somewhat victimized as well, and my husband is very aware of this. I don't know what else to say. I originally hoped to get some advice on how to get back to an in-love place with my husband. I adore him, but things now are not of a physical nature and I feel disconnected from him on that front. I hope to get wisdom from someone who had been there and gotten through it. He has forgiven me but I have not forgiven. And I have as much closure as I'd like. I'd like to wake up one day not having dreamed about the OM, which just proves that he's still in my head. I don't want him there. I'm hoping outing him will help get closure or will at the very least stop him for a while. I definitely had feelings for him but I wasn't in love. I was trying to make sense of it all, and to be honest, I have a long history of abuse. I thought I had made peace with my childhood, etc., but when faced with a few crises I offered myself out to someone who hurt me. He promised he wouldn't, but I knew in my gut he would. This is my old behavior and I was trying to understand how I let it get to this point. I think I had every emotion possible when it came to him, but I wasn't in love. I was and am still a little in a state of self-loathing. I am disconnected from my husband and am desperately trying to get back to where we were. We've had a lot of issues the past 2 years, the last being a late-term miscarriage and the loss of our dog, which completely shut him down. So, we were in a bad place before this happened. We dealt with it differently and I put myself in harm's way. Obviously, I realize this. I'm sure most of you will think I'm making excuses or I am crazy, but I was in a strange fog the past few months. I behaved in ways that are completely against my values and I made many mistakes. I was almost attached. It was like I was watching myself on a movie or something, like I wasn't even in my own body. This makes me sound crazy, but as soon as the fog started to lift, I wondered what on earth I'd been doing. My husband said he thought he had lost me for a few months, but I am lucid now and just want to make this work. I am not interested in contact with the OM at all now, but I do still think about him way too much, which is why I came here hoping someone could help me to get past this and get him out of my mind. I guess I don't really think of him as an abuser. I have only internalized this and blamed myself, but I guess I should shift my thoughts to how terrible he was to me. And to whomever asked why I'm afraid of him, I don't exactly know the answer. Maybe because this man clearly had a stranglehold on me and I became a different person with him. Or because he is incredibly angry and knows way too much about me. Or because I looked into his eyes and saw something almost unhuman. I am not sure, but I am working on figuring it out. This has been so difficult for us. I tried to tell him every detail. He was not willing to listen. I have begged him to go to counseling or to at least discuss it, and he is adamant that we drop it and move forward. This is not for a lack of trying on my part. This has all happened in the last 2 months. I have been given conflicting advice regarding telling the OM's wife. My husband says she must know already and that it's not my place to tell her that I will come off as a jealous, scorned woman. I am in twice-a-week counseling. I have ended all contact, but I guess I need to delete my email and change my phone number anyway. I don't think he's going to contact me. He is on to his next game. And he's already on Cheaterville. So apparently, I was just one of many women he's done this with. I probably haven't come off as remorseful as I truly am. I have been in agony over this. I know what I did was 100% wrong and I take full responsibility for what I did and the fact that I have hurt my husband so much. I do not place all of the blame on the OM. I know I opened myself up to a bad man who did violate and take advantage of me, but I was the one who opened myself up to that. I take full responsibility for that. I should not have even responded when he initiated contact. Trust me, what I've done goes against everything I have always believed in, my values and what I expect from my marriage. I have committed myself to therapy and to try to fix what is obviously wrong with me that I've done this. This is all I can do right now. I am on the verge of collapse and am trying all I can to pull myself out of this. I came here hoping I could see that my marriage could possibly be saved even I've made this epic mistake. I'd hoped to hear from someone who had made it through something similar so I'd have a little hope that this could be overcome. Honestly, I don't know my next step. I am rather discouraged and it doesn't seem likely that my husband will ever really forgive me and that he's in denial. I don't have children and he is a good man. I have not behaved like a good person and I've been selfish and stupid, so I guess I have my answer all along and I just didn't want to face it. He deserves better and I deserve less. 4 months ago, I was in a terrible place. I had just lost a baby at 18 weeks and my dog passed. I asked my husband to give me 15 minutes attention a day. He told me that was more than he could give. I was so alone and debating X when I joined a bereavement group online. That is how the other man found me. He used the worst thing that had ever happened to me as an opportunity to use and discard me. And I let him. I was in the lowest point imaginable and I did not care if he killed me. I didn't care what happened and in fact a part of me hoped he'd put me out of my misery. And I felt truly that my husband would be better off without me. Part of my fog has lifted but I'm still in a bad place. I know emotions run high on the subject, but there is more than one angle to every story. I don't think anyone deserves their love for their spouse to be questioned yet. I royally screwed up. I did something unforgivable and I probably won't be able to fix it. But it was also just the tip of the iceberg for us. It's pretty hard to not have a little self-hatred when I am told by complete strangers that I don't love my husband and that he deserves better than me. I had given my whole heart and soul to his man for 18 years. 4 months does not define who I am. And he is the one telling me this. He is at peace with what I did because he knows I am so sorry. He loves me unconditionally and is committed to me. It's not sweeping under the rug, it's him dealing with the worst part of the vows we made. I really just wanted some hope by coming here, but it's really affected me in the opposite way. I want the OM out of my mind. I am in counseling to work on forgetting him, forgiving myself and making myself healthy so I can be a good wife. I won't go into details, but I will say that the OM is almost identical to the abuser in my past. I also have a history with self-destructing and punishing myself when I am in a bad emotional state. This has happened over and over my entire life. In one form or another, I have always sought out an external punishment when I'm in emotional distress. I do tend to believe that this is probably why I offered myself to the OM to hurt. I sort of knew what I was getting into, not the extent, but I knew he'd hurt me. And I fully expected my husband to leave me over this, but he didn't. He told me to go to a counselor and figure myself out, but he also doesn't want to rehash it, so I need to respect his wishes too. He has started paying more attention to me and working less. My main hurdle now is to stop my focus on the OM. I am making progress, but I'm nowhere near where I want to be. I feel like I need an exorcism. I am just puzzled and beside myself that I let this happen. I thought I had moved past my old issues and was somewhat stable, and I'm left wondering what I put out there to attract the OM and what I was missing that I opened myself up to him. And thanks Beowulf, I will look into that book. And that did make me smile, and I haven't done much of that lately. I have a master's degree and am pretty intelligent, so I'm struggling to find how I've been so stupid lately. My husband may very well be not rehashing it because he doesn't think I can handle it. He did mention that he thinks I'm really fragile these days. I just hope and pray in time that I can fix myself and we can have a future together. He is everything to me despite all of it. My heart is really in the right place. My mind is getting in the way. He's making an effort. He's working more from home so I'm not alone as much. He knows I've been struggling. It's been an ongoing problem in our relationship. I carry a great deal of shame and guilt because of the baby thing. He knows this, but at the same time he chooses to stay in denial because I think it makes him too sad to know how miserable I am. And he doesn't want any more details about my 5 days with the OM. He is really protective of me and I think it would just kill him. So, I move forward in therapy and hope he'll join me down the road. I think he does see how burying things contributed to my isolation, which led to my desperation for attention and companionship. He's aware of that, but I think it's too painful for him to watch me destroy myself right now. He can't fix it and I know he's in pain too. It did come out in my last session that I acknowledge how horrible the OM was to me, yet I still wanted his approval. I think this is directly related to the type of abuse I lived with. This has brought so many things out and it's really almost unbearable trying to figure out. But I am an NC, I am doing what I can to forget the OM. I know I have to do that before I can focus on husband or anything else. Like I've said, my physical affair was really the culmination of a lot of issues. I deleted my email this afternoon. I hadn't done it before because I didn't think he would try and contact me. I do have him blocked on my phone as well. I think I will tell his wife because that's what I feel is right. But until yesterday the only person who had given me advice about that was my husband, who is against it. He thinks it is not our place, that she likely already knows, and he doesn't want to hurt her. I only mentioned my husband cheating because I was told more than once that he deserved better than me and that I should do him a favor and leave. I know we have both behaved terribly, but that seemed a little unfair considering I came here to try to find some hope and support that it's possible to overcome this. I don't know what else to do. I can't disrespect my husband if he just wants to move forward. I am a bit afraid of retaliation, so I've been kind of approaching it like I will leave him alone and he will do the same. I don't really know if I'm making the right choices at this point, but I truly do want to forget the OM and move on. I have a friend in another state who has agreed to send a letter to the OM's wife if I do decide to do this. I won't do it without my husband's knowledge and agreement. I do see the OM as having power over me, and there is photographic evidence of part of what happened between us. I can't bear the thought that this would come back to my husband. That would absolutely destroy him, and I can't hurt him any more than I have. I have to make this work. As far as my past abuser, no, not even karma has come back. He is a family member, although I'm not in contact with him, but he has never suffered a consequence from it. And the only person I told while it was happening didn't believe me and continued to keep me in his world. In a way, this is how I'm with my husband. As soon as we turned 18, he married me. He did love me, but I think rescuing me was a big incentive as well. So, as you can see, we are quite the mess. This all happened in the immediate days following meeting the OM. My husband knows all about it, and I'm not looking anymore. If you'll read all the parts, I'd hope you'd understand that part of my checking these sites out was to see if he had posted pictures of me on them. All of that is over. I did save his dating profiles to show his wife if I decided to, but I'm in complete NC now, and part of that is not looking at him. I have been defending myself an awful lot here, and it is exhausting and discouraging. I know my intent, and so does my husband, but I sincerely thank everyone who has given me advice, and to those who have sent me private messages telling me that I am evil and a B. I am done defending myself. You don't know who I really am. I am on antidepressants but just started, so still waiting there. We are making small progress, more time together, etc., but right now it's still mostly going through the motions. I am glad to know that this is common. We certainly need more time together, so I need to insist on that, I guess. I will definitely check out both books. I am more than willing to do whatever it takes to make this work. I just really needed some hope that it's possible. I made a few parts that all went together in my mind but probably didn't add up to anyone else. I am on NC with him and don't desire any contact. I know he has the potential to be very dangerous, and I am done with him. It's the dwelling on what happened that brought me here. I wanted to know how to move past him and make my husband my #1 focus. I have copies of our chat history, room receipt, and some texts. I added him onto Cheaterville even though he was already on there. The pictures and video of me, not him, so he doesn't have much incentive to not throw them back at me. If my husband does decide to expose him, he will write a letter. Right now, I'm leaving that to him, but I know I need to file a police report. I get so overwhelmed and don't know where to start, but I will commit myself to doing that. I don't want him to hurt anyone else. It's hard to know what the right thing to do is. I want that part of my life over. My husband and I are sleeping together. We have always had a great physical life, and that's not changed. It has been difficult for me to feel very close to him, but we are still connecting in that way. I want to tell the wife. I'm planning on discussing it tomorrow in therapy and then with my husband. I want him to be a part of it. I won't do it behind his back. Right now, I'm leaning towards anonymously doing it, but I do think she needs to know. I haven't decided what details to share, but I'm planning on exposing him unless my therapist and husband are adamant that I don't. I don't think that will be the case, though. My comment: do you think this one of the rare moments where the wife is remorseful, or she is only feeling remorse after realizing the OM wasn't the ideal man she expected? Comment down, sub, and I will see you in the next one.